Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to this week in Renewables, your bite-sized roundup of the renewable stories over the last 7 days. Hydropower, wind, solar, anything renewables we discuss. The voice you can trust, Deji Ogun Solar. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share, whether you're watching from YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And it all does help the visibility of this weekly podcast, so don't forget to share and recommend, as it's always appreciated. First off this week, I must apologise for not giving you your weekly dosage of This Week in Renewables. Sometimes life gets in the way. Work was very busy last week with a number of roles that needed to be filled, so that kind of took priority. And I did record the video, and then I realised that my phone memory was full, and so it didn't record all of the video, I should say. Then I had to kind of go back, and never got back to doing it. So again, apologies. Well, I'm back again anyway. It's been fair to say that this month has been dominated by COP26, or as I pronounced it a couple of weeks ago, COP26. So we're kind of sounding like the old dad in the room. COP26 has been an interesting last couple of weeks, to say the least, with our favourite friend Greta Thunberg and the rest of everyone having their say on renewables. It's fair to say some have seen this as positive, some have seen this as negative, but the positive side to see from this is that the Glasgow Climate Pact is the first ever climate deal plan to be agreed, which is explicitly discussing and reducing the reduction of coal, which is the worst fossil fuel for greenhouse gases. The deal itself also presses for more urgent emissions cuts and promises more money for developing countries, with a plan to help them adapt to the climate impacts. But some have argued, rightly so, that the pledges don't go far enough to limit the temperature rise to 1.5 C. A commitment to phase out coal that was included in early negotiation drafts led to a dramatic finish after India and China led opposition to it. But overall, as I say, now we have to look at the positives, and the deal which has been agreed is good news, but again, a lot more has to be done. I thought I would kind of share my kind of 4 takeaway points from COP26 to kind of start off this week in renewables. And first of all, that the current commitments aren't good enough. Despite the landmark agreements on, halting deforestation and kind of cutting methane gases, the targets set out by the countries in terms of, keeping global warming to the 1.2 target set out in the original Paris Agreement, I think don't go further enough, and I think more needs to be done. Second of all, there's lots of famous faces there, the likes of, Barack Obama, Leonardo DiCaprio, but it's the activists that really deserve the attention. It's the work that we do on the ground, and I speak to you and I as the general public, which is really going to kind of make the change and get the buzz going. So, it's all good having all these celebrities and everyone making their point, but it's the activists and the people going out there to make a change which are really going to make the difference. Third point I took away was climate justice is crucial, and this is very much on the need for rich nations and to do their part. It's all good for the richer nations saying that the poorer nations need to kind of help do their part, but you've had the last 20 years of producing and getting up your industries using fossil fuels, and many of the poorer countries rely on this to kind of get their economies up and running. So if they're going to be asked to kind of make their kind of changes and commitments, then the poorer nations need to be compensated or have that support from the rich countries and the leading companies as well. Point number 4, the hard work is yet to be done. As I said, all these agreements and papers are all great, but the next couple of years are going to be really interesting to see if all these governments stick to their word and we don't regress back to, kind of things we have been doing in the past. And the final point again was that, the rich nations need to do more. I really want to kind of hammer that point. When you look at the emissions which are produced by the richer nations, compared to the poorer nations, it's clear to see where the work needs to be done. So looking at China, UK, America, it's the big players who are really going to make the big impact. So a lot of work needs to be done, but overall, I would argue it's been a fairly positive last couple of weeks of COP26, despite the private jets and private, cars and fleets of that have been bringing these world leaders to Glasgow, but I suppose they have to get here one way or another. Anyway, as I said, COP26 will dominate the news headlines for the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure there'll be more to discuss, and I'll make sure to keep you updated on my thoughts and views regarding COP26 and where we go from here. Back to some of the renewable stories over the last 7 days. And this time, a small article here. Siemens Gamesa has been named preferred bidder by Vattenfall for the 3,600 Norfolk offshore wind complex in the UK, with new large rotor variants of its next generation model. Although I must note that the deal itself is subject for the project securing contract for difference. The project itself will feature a 263 metre rotor machine of up to 15 megawatts, up from the current 222 metre configuration. So interesting to see how this develops. Some more news coming from the wind sector onshore wise, and this time OX2, who is the Swedish developer, they are to acquire the rights to build the 150 megawatt Cleverberget wind farm in Sweden, and this is going to be acquired from Vattenfall. Under the agreement, OX2 will acquire 100% of the project. The wind farm itself holds a legal binding permit. It will be an addition to OX2's Swedish project development portfolio of late storage onshore wind power. A group of local landowners developed the project until 2018, when the necessary permits were obtained. After that, Vattenfall took charge of the project, refining it further, for example, with regards to the grid concessions and the detailed planning. OX2 have now kind of acquired all rights, 100%. In a recent article, the country manager for OX2 for Sweden, Mr. Priska, said that the OX2 ambition is to begin construction of the wind farm during 2022. We are looking forward to working alongside the landowners, the Sami community and residents of the municipality. We would like to thank Vattenfall for trusting us to continue to develop this project and for its successful development so far. So great news coming there by way of the Swedish Scandinavia market and some onshore news. Some more news as well. Siemens Gamesa again, them and BCG Energy, they have signed a cooperation agreement on the wind power development in Vietnam. Under the terms of the agreement, Siemens Gamesa will supply the equipment and technical solutions for BCG Energy to implement more than 500 megawatts of wind power projects in the Southeast Asian country. This is according to Vietnamese Ministry of Industry and Trade. The deal itself is expected to be worth in the region of $400 million. The ministry has said. BCG Energy currently owns 577 megawatts of capacity in Vietnam and aims to reach 1.5 gigawatts of generation capacity by 2023. Importantly, the agreement was signed on the sidelines of the COP26 in Glasgow. So, more stuff that's been happening from the result of the COP26 meeting. Moving this time from wind to solar energy news, and RWE is to build 2 new solar farms in Spain with a combined capacity of 88 megawatts. The 44 megawatt Casa Valdez and the 44 megawatt Porta del Solar solar farms will be located in the province of Guadalajara, close to Madrid. Early construction works have already kicked off, and the full commissioning is expected in the summer of 2022. Both solar projects will use innovative bifacial high-performance modules, RW has recently commented. After full commissioning of our solar farms, we'll be able to supply the equivalent of approximately 61,000 Spanish homes with green electricity, and will make a substantial contribution to reach the local climate targets, recently commented by Director Robert Navarro, who is the RWE Renewables lead president for RW Renewables Liberia. More news coming from the solar sector, and this time from EDP Renewables, EDPR for short. They have brought a substantial stake in the Singaporean solar firm Sunseap. The deal values a Singaporean leading solar energy company at $1.1 billion, and will see EDPR become a major shareholder in the organisation. EDPR investing at a time when Sunseap is expanding its footprint into the region, is in particular with the 2.2 gigawatt project to build a floating photovoltaic farm and energy storage system in the Indonesian Batam Islands. This is in addition to other regional interconnection projects to export renewable energy to power data centres in Singapore. Important to mention that EDP has an installed wind and solar capacity of 13 gigawatts. It designs, develops and manages and operates power plants that generate electricity from renewable resources in the presence of 17 markets in Asia, Europe and America. So this is really good news, and with this investment, EDPR will be further expanding its platform into Asia via Sunseap, and which will be complementing its current footprint. Belectric has completed a commissioning of a 250 megawatt solar project in India as well. So more news coming by way of the Asia sector as well. So India, Singapore, Vietnam, all very much busy on the solar side of things. Some more news coming by way of hydrogen, so kind of switching the technologies, and UAE and Germany, they are to expand on Green Hydrogen Corporation. This is in the context of the Emirati and German energy partnership. Reading a bit of the article here, Germany aims to achieve climate neutrality by 2045. The UAE, which has recently announced its targets to become climate neutral by 2050, is also pursuing a clear sustainability strategy. Cooperation between the two countries can make a contribution to obtaining climate targets and to increasing the level of ambition even further. So this is really good news. In view of its vast potential for renewable energy, the UAE definitely offers excellent conditions for large-scale exports of green hydrogen. Last and but not least, some more news coming by COP26 in hydropower, and this time coming from the Kazakhstan, who've announced that they will be moving away from coal to hydropower by 2050. As I said, this was said in the COP26 summit, and Kazakh President Mr. Sadir Japarov made this statement about the transition to an emission-free economy and the impact of climate change on its people in the mountainous areas. So again, some more good news coming by COP26. That is the summary of this week in renewables so far. As I said, heavily dominated by the COP26 and what's been happening over the last couple of days. Again, apologies for last week, but I promise week on you'll be having this podcast delivered to you. That sums up this week in Renewables 21. Don't forget to like, comment and share. If you follow me on LinkedIn as well, I'm also going to be starting a blog which will be this month in Renewables, which will just be some written content with regards to the renewable stories over the last month. So again, thank you very much for watching this week in Renewables. If you're listening on Spotify and podcasts, thank you very much. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and catch you next week on This Week in Renewables episode 22. Goodbye and God bless.